now.
Cool.
And we just have to wait for all the platforms to hook up.
Yep.
No, I wasn't really asleep. I was just off.
Tired.
I
Yeah.
really wasn't tired. I was just off. I went through the biggest activation I ever had last night, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I was watching Scott and Maria, and I heard.
Yeah, no, and I ended up falling for the. That somebody was making comments. I usually don't even look at them hardly. I look at them, but anyway, I was not myself, but I said I wasn't. So at least I said I wasn't. But I don't know. There's so much stuff going on and been going on for so long that I don't know how much more information do we need to figure out who we are, what we're a part of. Right? That's just my own perspective. I'm not saying that's gospel, but like, what are we going to do from here, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and I mean, preparing to come on here, like things change moment to moment, and I'm like, what am I even going to talk about? What have I even got to say? You get to the point where you're fully trusting. You're just fully trusting that when you get to where it is that you're preparing for, that you'll have everything that you need, that you'll be provided, you'll be guided. The answers will come to you. Stop being a stupid, human ego.
Get out of your own way, right?
Yeah, get out of your own way. Basically, in the shower, they always talk to me in the shower. Like,
so many people say that. That's so
whoever. Well, it's the conductor, the water, but basically, I'm channeling the universal energy collective. That's what I like to call them, because it's anyone who wants to come in at any point or time, whether it be you standing next to me, Joe Blow down the road, the collective from France during a riot, Jesus, the Arcturians, God himself.
So you're like a cosmic switchboard operator.
Yeah, I am. And I don't have a sensor. I don't have a filter, which is, made it tough.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, basically they just said, just say to Todd when you're starting up, just go, how's your story going, Todd? Because that's what it is. It's like the minute you try and pigeonhole or label or like what's happening today, or who am I believing today, or who am I resonating with today, I'm playing the game of life. It's genius level head fuck edition. It's serious head fuck. It is from one moment to the next. You think you've got it sorted? Nah, flat. So basically we're all just playing out our story, aren't we? From whatever perspective we decide on at any given moment.
It's such a and welcome Nikool McIndoe to the show.
Thank you. Thanks.
We've been connected for a couple of years and been chasing you down because you've been very open about your journey, and like so many people, which I think is so helpful. You're right. Like you in the shower. I mean, other people, that energy comes in different ways, and we get, we get enthralled, we get overwhelmed, we get, all these downloads and information and code but the great thing is like people like you just put out your journey, I mean, and it's like you don't really you can't really spit and polish and present, the accuracy of the realistic journey without the human part, and the human part is the human part, that imperfect perfection, right? That perfect imperfection.
Yeah, it's raw. It's pretty raw, and you got to get really real with yourself. Just when you think you get real, they'll come and slap you again.
Isn't that the truth, though?
Yeah, they love slapping you down when you get. Well, it's not so much slapping you down. It's they like to bring you to your knees. I think they like to humble you. They like to just say, no. Whoa, you think you know everything? You don't fucking know anything. That kind of. it's that kind of scenario, and so you can't get too ahead of yourself because they won't let you.
Yeah, I think I've always felt that humility is the best barometer, of self. I mean, how do you gauge how humble you are? But because you can say it, but and like you said too, the other thing is you can find this certain space or level of humility, and then you wake up the next day and everything's just the whole eraser, the whole board's been erased.
Yeah, and you're starting again. It's snakes and ladders. You do this and then you go woo.
I remember that game.
Yeah,
that's a good metaphor. That game.
I think if we all just like you know your resonance, you know what you vibrate at, and your intention tells everything, because you can tell when your ego's sticking in. You can just feel it, like, well, what am I doing this for? What am I saying this for? What's my intention? What am I trying to do here? Am I trying to sway someone, or am I just trying to give my observation? Or you know, so they're pretty clear. If you can tune into yourself, they'll let you know. They'll pull you back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I see that. I see it in myself, and I see it in other people. We have like the ability in the moment, because we're conscious or more conscious, to be able to, like what you were talking about on that first show today. You know, I mean, somebody triggered me. I had the biggest activation I've ever had in my life last night. It lasted. Morgan's like, you know what time it is? And I'm like, I figured it'd been like an hour, but it'd been almost over 3 hours.
Wow.
You know, and so anyway, I get on this first show and I'm very discombobulated, and I got pulled in by somebody's comments, and but I was able to. I'm not saying this about myself. I'm actually saying this about what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Able to say, and I did. I said, you know, I'm getting triggered, and I admit it. And this isn't gospel. This is just my perspective at the moment, but. But you know, like having the ability to, like the thoughts used to come in for us and they ran away with it. You know, in other words, our imagination ran wild, or the patterns or behaviors or thought patterns ran wild. And now we're able to catch them, pull them back and say, okay, I recognize you. I mean, I did this. I'm not going to judge myself, and I'm going to, you know, learn the lesson, put it behind me and move on. But how did you...
There's a series of initiations.
Yeah.
You know, they start off slow with you, and then it almost you can catch yourself. Like, even though everything's quickening, you know, we're going through the quickening. It's like when you're speaking, or when you're channeling, or when you're even just having a normal conversation, everything slows down, so that you're able to catch pretty much your intention, your resonance, your vibe, the frequency, everything all at once as you're speaking, so that you can catch yourself midway and go, oh, no, that's shit. That's crap. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. What I meant to say was this. So, yeah, I think I'm forever like correcting myself and checking myself to see whether what I'm saying is coming from a pure source energy standpoint, because anything else won't fly anymore. You know, the bullshit-ometer is
we're in the no bullshit zone, right?
Yeah, we're in a no bullshit zone. Yeah, for sure.
How did because I know just from I read some of your, I don't know that it was published at the time, but I read some of your stuff. This is going back 2 years ago, and then of course I've seen some of your posts over the years. I don't know exactly, but I know you had a pretty profound awakening. I want to say awakening experience. How did it go down for you? Were you always this way, or did you have something come in and wake you up?
Both actually. Well, my story. What I've come in playing the game is Arcturian source, point of origin, and Earth Angel. So when I was born, I remember everything. I was awake, came in embodying pure unconditional love for everyone. And I was born into a family of Smiths, quite literally, Agent Smiths. Literally. Yeah, Nikool Smith, born Nikool Smith. And then just didn't fit in, really. Funny that. And went to sleep, basically, around the age of 4 or 5. Was still very aware, very conscious. Still, I'm aware I'm on my ship. I've got my goggles on, and I'm just looking out, and I'm in observer mode. But you still go through the human experience, and trauma just puts you back to sleep and says, no, you're not ready for this. It's too harsh. It's too harsh and it's too dense, actually. And life just tends to put you, you know, where it thinks you belong in the game that you're playing, which was me as a light worker here to just hold the energies. And then later on in life, I'm going to help mentor and guide and usher into New Earth. But originally I was like, you're going to be put into a place which you're going to challenge the status quo being the powers that be want to keep it. You know, this is the story that I've been playing and running. So you get indoctrinated with all the programs and belief systems which go against everything that I came in knowing, and then you go about your whole life bringing and drawing in the experiences, the people, the situations, the places that that show you either where you want to go or where you want to stay. So you've got to do the work, you know. I could have very easily like just enmeshed with that program. That was easy going. That was, you know, that's where all the success is, the money, the friendships, the happy, like perceived illusionary happy times with family, etc. But no, I chose I'm going to go this way. Left everything.
Did you have so you had a breaking point where you just said, I'm going this way regardless of
I was married and doing my 5th or 6th load of washing for the day, two young ones, and I just went, is this it? Fuck, seriously? Really? Is this it? And I just was at a pretty big breaking point. You can call it a nervous breakdown. You can call it a midlife crisis. What it is just every, activating code within your DNA just switches on at once and goes, oh, holy fuck, serious? Is this my life? Not happy, Jan. Change the movie, please. And then you have to have the balls, basically. You got to grow a pair and start baby steps, one step at a time. Making the journey off that path that you've worn your home a groove into it. You know, you're fully in it. You got to get up, pull yourself up however you can, and get off.
Yeah, I was talking to a beautiful sister yesterday, Shalom. I am light, and she's been going through this, I think, about 2 years. She's coming out of the dark night. She's got 5 kids she's raising.
Wow.
They were evicted. I mean, there was a bunch of beautiful setup to the transformation. But I said that to her. I said, yeah, those baby steps. I remember because we were talking about, that period of the dark night of the soul. And she said, it wasn't even baby steps for me. I was crawling. I said, you know what? That sounds more accurate to me. Yeah, I think you can relate to that. So you went through the typical, at least based on my experience doing these shows the last few years, the typical characteristics of the journey is you wake up knowing, it gets put down,
Yeah, but let me just say, I never lost my contact with Source the whole time I was asleep. I was actively still chatting with my guide Ravi, but I just didn't know that he had a name, and that's what I was doing. I was still actively seeking out all healing modalities. I did Reiki. I could read cards. I would have the knowing of what people are thinking, even when what they were saying was going against what they were thinking. I could see what people were doing. I could see their intentions. I knew how things were going to play out. I do a lot of time jumping in dreams. So I'll dream something and then it will play out in reality, segments, not deja vu. That's different. This is time jumping.
Yeah.
So when I basically had my kids who are both earth angels, that sort of was like the epitome of, okay, so now I'm creating a family which is duplicating the family that I grew up in. So I've got to stop this now. I knew from a very young age the patterns. I saw the patterns with my parents, my grandparents, and I knew the ancestral line. I knew what I was here to do. So when I say I'm standing there at the line, at the clothesline, like 10, 12 years ago, going, is this it? What I was really trying to say to myself was, okay, I've had enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I already knew everything, as we do.
Yeah.
We just haven't brought it into our forefront, into our living existence and playing out who we came here to be.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, but on a very private hermit level, like, talking with God, talking with Ravi, talking with the Arcturians, getting the guidance, knowing stuff. But in terms of changing my matrix and unplugging from the matrix, that started around that time.
Yeah.
And then
the journey of aligning thoughts, words, and actions with the information you're getting. Yeah. So how you mentioned Arcturians twice. When did they come in? When did that consciousness come in and connect with you?
Always.
Really?
They've always been with me, but I didn't know of them. Okay. It was only when I started researching, when the internet really came on board and started meeting like-minded people, soul family, who were there to, contracted to help you with your awakening, and you have a healing session or two, and then you learn something new and it changes everything, and then you have another healing and changes everything. And just when I saw the Arcturians, read up on their purpose here for ushering in the new earth, and that they're storytellers, and I had done that through my art. Progressively throughout my whole life, I've been an artist, creator, and everything that I do has got, Kundalini awakening or awakening energies infused. I use color, which, is an awakening agent. And then they said at one point, you're going to write a book. And a lot of people used to say to me, and it's almost like, they're your part of your soul family that are come in at that specific moment to give you little seeds along the way of where you're heading. And then I just really felt called, basically. There's no other word for it. You get this push, you get this, it's almost like they're pushing you from behind, like put your hands on the computer and start typing. Here, we're going to start talking now, start typing. And nothing stops you. Nothing stops you. So everything that I wrote about was my life, but in a storytelling fashion to give the message of who we are as soul.
Right on.
And where we're heading.
And you mentioned the guide Ravi.
Ravi.
Ravi?
Yeah, Ravi. Yep.
That you say now was present from the get-go. How did you come across the name, and what's your relationship with Ravi?
Yeah.
And what do you feel? I mean, is Ravi your higher self, or do you see it something different?
Okay, so I went to a Mind Body Spirit Festival in Sydney. I think it was pretty much one of the first ones. I was in my mid-20s. And I was guided to purchase a book called Open to Channeling, which changed everything because they went through the processes of how to do it. This couple ran a meditation session in New York, I think they were, and they basically took you through the process. And they said, you just ask. You just ask who you're talking to, what's your name, and he said. So from then on, once I started writing the book, I merged with Ravi, and I describe all what happens during the spiritual awakening journey. Once you merge with your higher self, once you merge with your guide, what happens? The story that I wrote, Accidental Truth, A Vortex Through Time, takes you through the spiritual awakening journey, Ascension 101, basically, but in a story fiction format. Right. But I started off where the heroine, Aurora Knightley, she has a car accident and goes into a coma. The CIA have hunted her down and tried to kill her for what she knows, the keys hidden within her.
Wow.
that are going to awaken humanity and change everything, bring about new earth. So in the coma, she enters a rainbow vortex, which has every colour of the rainbow, starting on the outside with violet and going to red. And she steps through these colours, and each one takes her through a past life experience. And when she gets to the centre, I'm not going to give away the whole book, but basically through all the lessons that she learnt in her past lives culminate in the red in the centre, when she then merges with Ravi and her higher self. So
how much of the book is, and I know you might have written it metaphorically, but how much of it, metaphorical or literal, is biographical?
It's based on a true story.
Yeah.
I made Aurora an artist. All that she does and talks about is all me, my perceptions, my connection with art and colour. She does a lot of sacred geometry, which I'm starting to do now. I've been getting some light language codes, which is really cool. Then the past lives, well, I made the first one an Egyptian professor at Harvard. He teaches hieroglyphics, and he goes back to a specific chamber and uncovers the codes to unlock the wisdom within humans that have been buried and suppressed. So, I mean, I identify with that character, but I made that one up. But then I go on to be Tesla, who I'm a fractal of Tesla, and I remember quite a lot of things. And he receives the frequencies that he has to. He receives the frequencies that are going to change and unlock the matrix, basically break the matrix. He has a little conversation with Ravi. Every one of them have a conversation with Ravi, because that's my guide, right? And then I become Mother Shipton, who's a soothsayer, a witch from like the 1600s. Go through her story, where she meets a guy who is then later on her twin flame. She meets him in real life, in the present day, because this is through the vortex. So she keeps coming back out of the vortex and going in. She learns how to manipulate energy, how to meditate to find her connection to source energy. And then, so the CIA are on her back because they didn't kill her. One of the agents wakes up reading her file, and he's like, I can't kill her now. I have to save her. So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. On his white horse comes in, saves her, and takes her away, and then she goes back. Ravi keeps saying, "Come on, you got to keep going. You're on a mission. This is your purpose." So she goes back in. She goes to Atlantis, has a little experience with some lovely reptiles there, and the crystal healing Tower of Poseidon. Then she goes to on a mothership with a blue avian.
Wow.
Swims with some dolphins, writes some Akashic records, breaks some.
So and this is all put together.
This is through the story. This is what they gave me. Yeah, and I never knew what I was going to write from when I sat down. I basically tuned in and wrote through my third eye and through the words that they told me.
Wow.
And then, so I never knew how it was going to end, but it brings about new earth. They go to Mount Shasta. The crew come together, or the soul family, and they go off to Mount Shasta and they do the activating of the healing frequencies and bring in new earth. And it's really exciting ending. Pretty cool book. Pretty stoked to have.
Allison York says she read it. She says it's fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
Accidental Truth, the Vortex Through Time. We'll come back to it at the end of the show and make sure that we can get all the information out there. But I'm curious, from your perspective with the book and everything else, well, a couple of questions. What does that new earth look like, and how close do you think we are to getting there?
Oh, wow. This is for me, for my story, my perspective, because as soul families, we all come in with different versions of our agreed new earth, what it's going to look like. So for me, I very much resonate with Alison Coe's QHHT sessions. I'm going to be living like a jungle existence in the trees, by the beach, with the dolphins, with the kids, self-sufficient community. And when I say in the jungle by the beach, what that literally means is however that version is going to present itself to me as we get to it. Because I still feel pretty much like I'm there now, even though I'm living in a house. I'm surrounded by, a koala sanctuary, and I'm at the beach. So basically, I'm already there. I've got my soul family. I'm doing my purpose, being creative every day, looking after myself, connecting with people outside, inside, wherever. So I'm pretty much already there.
Yeah.
And I can see that we're getting there. So I'm hopeful. I mean, more than hopeful. I'm knowing that it's coming.
Yeah.
And just watching it all play out, because you can see so clearly the script. And there's only one way, that it's we're at the drama end. In the movies, you have the lighthearted, funny bit, everything's and then something happens and it gets serious, and then the shit goes down, and then there's the bang bang shoot 'em up, and then they have the happily ever after. Well, we're kind of at everyone's like, this isn't as funny as it was. Something is wrong.
Be careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah. I think we're about to bang bang shoot 'em up.
Are you distracted much from the distortion? I mean, you're in that. You're close enough to that area in Australia, and I know everybody's been affected, but there was of course a lot of quarantine, mask, a lot of stuff coming out, particularly in Victoria, and I know Sydney too, to an extent. But I mean, that, and given some of the other stuff going on, are you distracted on a personal level? Do you get distracted by the distortion?
It hasn't changed my life one bit, actually. I think we had 2 or 3 weeks of lockdown where you weren't allowed to leave your house, but I still did. I still went for my walks on my beach every day. You can put it 2 ways, in that I'm in quite a secluded little section of the coast here, very high vibe, surrounded by water. We have a river and the ocean.
Wow.
Everyone's happy. Everyone's doing their own thing. So you can say that the collective has manifested that we haven't had much disruption, or you can put it on a personal level that my life hasn't changed. And when I go out, I perceive what is seemingly unchanged, but I'm not too sure what's going on for everyone else's version when they're looking through their goggles.
Yeah. And then back to the Arcturians and even Ravi. I'm not trying to be presumptuous, but it sounds like you have a consistent, continuous connection with both.
Yeah, I'm open all the time.
Are you getting any collective intelligence from the Arcturians or Ravi or your higher self in terms of what's happening on a global scale, energetically or otherwise?
I kind of, again, this is my story. I know I keep saying that, but it's really important that if you don't resonate with what someone else is saying, that's fine, because 5D quantum structure is everyone's cool. Everyone's cool with everyone,
Yeah.
It's all the same stick. It really is. And you do with it what you want.
I've never heard an Australian say that word. Stick.
Stick.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So for me, I can see it all playing out perfectly. COVID collectively, Yep, we made it happen.
Yeah.
As a consciousness, and it's all going to come out. It has to be that way. People have to get to the point of breaking. If you know, I think with the mass awakening, like that's why I wrote the book, was for this time. And when you hear a number of other people talking about, you know, the mass awakening or the great awakening, then you think to yourself, okay, cool, that's my soul family. I'm on that frequency. I'm listening to that broadcast, and I can see it how it's going to play out so beautifully. It will be a very smooth transition. Because the level of the energies that are coming in, literally, I've been walking around for the last week like I'm off my head. Seriously, like I've dropped a trip, like I'm doing an acid trip. Everything is so clear, happy. People are nice. I'm not getting any distortion. So I think that when it comes, people are going to sigh a huge relief of like, oh, holy fuck, we're out of it.
Yeah.
We did it, you know.
Yeah.
And just like we look back on 2020 and go, wow, it was not a good year in terms of the illusion, how it played out, but really it was perfect, absolutely perfect. Yeah. And it's just getting more perfect every day. I'm loving it.
That's interesting too, because I remember 2019, because of course, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, there was definitely, you could feel the change of each year. As time's gone on, that sounds weird, but time's taken on a different feel, you know. It's like, it's weird, you know. Sometimes things are faster, sometimes they're slower, but 2019, I remember it was pretty much a consensus that was, you know, when we got to the end, everybody was like, whoa, you know, that was a hell of a year. Glad it's over. And then I saw some of that after 2020, but to me, 2020 felt like what you're talking about. It made a lot more sense. It was, you know, a lot more information. And of course, you know, the distortions and all that were there, but they didn't, to me, that, I don't know, that was just my experience. To me, it felt like a very successful year. You know,
I was happy. I was stoked all year. Like I was rejoicing in the fact that I knew that this was an awakening marker, a major mass awakening marker. And you know, when you go for like 10 years or whatever, and you're like, oh, come on, people, like, please, start living your true, authentic selves. It's such a better life, you know. It had to happen. We manifested it. The world's just so jack shit of being controlled. We just don't want it anymore. We want to go out and do what we want to do. We want to be sovereign. We want to do what we want to do when we want to do it, and we don't want anyone to say no, you can't. And that's where we're headed. That's my new earth.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things too for people like you, I'm curious as to what your experience has been. But you made reference to like 10 years of, you know, of that. And I think what that is where there seemed to be an imbalance. You know, I remember 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, there was, you know, in my own field and in the field of the communities that I was involved with or whatever, how, you know, I'm tired. We're tired. You know, when are we going to get some,
get some good stuff?
Yeah. When are we going to get some equal energy exchange? And it seems like that's shifted now. Like there's people, right? Like there's people out there that
pendulum. We're coming back up, and it's like, wow, this is the good bit that we waited for. Like, like we went up the ride, we went up the roller coaster, you know, like, and we just stood on for 2020. Holy fuck, here we go. And there's no stopping it now. And we get to loops this year. Wow. It's going to be exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. And do you get much intel, or do you have much of a feel for the collective, you know, dance of the masculine and feminine? Because I know that's been a big subject since I got online, you know, way back when. But there seemed to be quite a bit. What do I want to say? Like a push or an expansion. and by virtue of that, a release of distorted masculine. But from the masculine energy in the end of last year, and as we're going into this year, have you felt any of that? And
yeah, because I'm here for the rise of the divine feminine. Bringing back the woman as the carer, the nurturer, the life giver, the unconditional loving mother energy, whether that be from the planet or from the higher realms. So that's been difficult to see the distortion of femininity growing up, and definitely was brought into a very male-dominated family, where the women were all fairly submissive, and I don't mean that in a negative connotation. I mean it literally. They were housewives, secretaries, army wives. The men were the breadwinners. The hierarchy stood, the control stood with them. And so I saw that pattern very quickly, that I was here to break out of that, because every time I tried to do something which was considered manly, which basically was just meaning you want to start your own business. You mean you don't want to be a secretary? You don't want to go and do something considered womanly? You want to break out on your own and do what? I was challenged all the time. Tried to be put back into my place, which was that status quo, which I was saying, like that. They wanted to keep that male-female role very, very male-dominated, and the women as the submissive.
Yeah.
I have seen, particularly in the last few years, connected with so many divine feminines. It's unbelievable. My soul family, I almost think that, there's probably 90% women in my soul family here within this dimension, playing this game out with me. But I'm seeing the step up of the divine masculine. It was very slow, slow. And you know this yourself. You probably chat to 90% women, you think? 80%.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's I think the numbers have I think in Soulogy it's almost 60-40 now, but it's almost 60-40, but it used to be about 85-15. But yeah, on that comment, I see that. That's where I was gonna ask you on a follow-up. So you are seeing the masculine energy rising, and obviously the feminine rise has risen.
They're taking the back seat. They literally know that they're here to support the women role in their rising, and it's not in the old way, like putting their ego aside, stepping back, like the woman equal, like what? This is like, yes, the woman equal, and it's an absolute balance. Mm-hmm. And honoring and respecting the role that they're playing in the stepping back. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's
like it's that. I was telling you, I had the biggest activation I've ever had last night when we did our nightly thing, and that's what the revelation was. I mean, it was. I don't know if it was an act. Well, it was. There wasn't a huge activation because I'm still sitting here in the third show trying to focus and get my
and you get me.
Yeah, but what came through, so much that came through, but it was more of a. In fact, you mentioned marker earlier, so there was a point where I recognized a marker I had put down to help me remember that at this point I don't mean made it as in fully made it, but made it to the point of a conscious awareness. Now I could understand and better implement my role or whatever. But what it was a marker of that occurring. Like, so there is a stepping back, which is really that false power giving itself up. Yeah. And by virtue of that, you can kind of see and experience and be through the energy of her, right? I mean, like the way Morgan channeled it first, and then we kind of experienced it, and then I kind of got it. And that was that because of the way this thing was shaped and constructed, there is no way that he could be privy to the things that she is privy to. He has to basically kind of look through her eyes, if figuratively speaking, and literally, actually. So, but yeah, so that to me was, for me personally, it was huge, and I got to believe that's either before this happened or while it happened. It's available now, and it's a great sign. That's why I was asking you about it. And what do you think that means for the divine feminine energy now at this point because of that occurring?
Well, I think we're just going to see that we have more of a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Level of respect is going to be acknowledged. A recognition of every individual's right to do and be whoever they want to be without any dogma or indoctrination placed on that, so that we can all, like, we're all we've all got our masculine and our feminine sides within us.
True.
So when you come to be balanced within, you're able to see both perspectives, which means that when you then engage with the different gender, you're able to come to some common understanding and resonance with their agenda as well. And when you're perceived as not being a threat, but that you're there to actually help and to co-create together, to collaborate into creating a higher timeline, that puts people at ease. So we don't have to fight anymore, really. Like, the fighting days are over. Yeah. We just have to become one with who you are yourself, and then you don't see anyone as a threat. Therefore, you're not perceived as a threat. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And in fact, and even like with what happened last night, let me see if I can get this out right, because I'm still operating on like 60%. But so there was a point, and I said to her, now I can see why, because I was in that, I told her last night, I'm immersed in the divine feminine. Of course, this is all energetic and all that stuff. I mean, this was a very multidimensional experience. I mean, I saw Morgan in 200 different aspects. I mean, it was amazing. But
wow.
But what I said to her was, I can see now why they suppress this energy, because you can't argue with it. Now, if we take the connotation off of gender, it doesn't even matter. That's not the point. The point is that this information, the sacred wisdom, this reality, was still contained in her. And by however this way was set up, he didn't have access to it, and he doesn't have access to it. And we're talking energy. The masculine energy does not have access to it until that energy gives up what is not real, and kind of like subtracts that or extracts that from the illusion, right? And then and by supporting her and so on, she's allowed to, and then makes it available for him, basically. And I was sitting there last night thinking, well, how the hell did this all happen? And I was taken back to a very lucid dream I had, and it was probably 2 years ago, or a year ago, I don't remember. And so it was, we were on the earth, and Morgan was there, and there was another lady, and it was a matriarchal. It was correct. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And then this species came in, and I'm just, for the sake of the discussion, going to call it reptilian, came in. They were much more powerful physically, and they basically did what they wanted. And at that point, there was a split between that equality or equilibrium of the masculine and the feminine. The wound was created. And so I remembered that, and I thought, oh, that's how it went down. But now it feels like with what you're saying and what I'm experiencing, that we're getting pretty close, because that would seem to be the proof to me. When I asked you how close do you think we are to New Earth, to me that would be more evidence than anything else. What do you think?
Yeah, I think basically in the game is that when each individual begins to play their own game is when it becomes less of a collective shift, more of a personal shift brings about the collective shift.
Yeah.
So you just have to just go with whatever the push is, whatever the guidance is on every moment-to-moment basis, and know that you're fully supported, fully protected, fully safe.
Right.
Everything else is an illusion. There is no fear. So you say what you want, you do what you want, you be who you wish to be, and anybody who has a push back against that is just really basically stating that they're not willing to do that for themselves. And so when you can see that's happening for them, then you can take full ownership of it, because why would I listen to somebody who's not doing what it is they want to do? Because when everyone's happy, when you're happy, you don't enforce anything on anyone else. You do you. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you're happy, creating, living your best life, thriving, you literally want everyone else around you to feel that same peace, that bliss, that ecstasy. So if anyone's going to come in and try and shake that from you, no. You're trying on the wrong person. Go and do your own thing. Get happy. And so when we all individually do that, then the major shift will happen.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're in confusion stage. So, I mean, it really is like the 7 stages of grief. We're saying goodbye to the old earth, the old who we were as people, as a civilization of humanity. And once we get past this little confusion stage and the clarity comes in, which will happen very, very soon within the next few months, then we'll be going through the various other stages of grief, which is, the anger and the denial. And it's going to happen very quickly. It's going to happen very, very quickly. And
it sounds like we're going to have more of those turtle in the shell, put your head in the shell periods.
There will be opposition. There are those that are contracted not to awaken, and as Esther or Abraham Hicks will tell you, it's just everything that's presented to you is either for your choice of what you want or whether you don't want. Yeah. So we're going to be shown people saying no, we want to hang on to the old ways, so that the people who are contracted to awaken will see the polarity. That's all it is.
What about
honor everyone's journey?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That stay in your own lane thing is becoming a hell of a hashtag.
Yeah, because we will all go together, but they're just playing out the role. And we've all played the role of this in previous lives, the one that hasn't awoken. We've all done it, because you have to have the perspective of all different facets, especially within your soul family.
That's right. What about the you've got a couple of kids in in the physical. What about the impact of these children in these young people? I mean, that seems to be getting louder. That seems to be getting louder now. What are your thoughts?
Or what?
Well, how do you see the impact of even these kids being born in the last few months in this energy? These young people, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 years old. There's quite a few accounts. Well, for instance, like with Mary Rodwell, Marie Batchelor, other people that have come on this show where their kids were communicating to them from the womb, telepathically, and then also when they came out. There just seems to be kind of a wild card accelerator or something going on with this frequency that these young people are bringing to the earth. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they have to be of a very high frequency to be able to embody the human body, which has accelerated rapidly in the last 20 years with our crystalline energy and how we are upgrading as a species. So they're all going to be very awake, ready. They're the leaders of the new earth, the last 10, 20 years, the kids that are growing up. That you can see the rebellion in them. My kids don't want to go to school.
Yeah.
They don't want to interact with the bullshit. They know it's all bullshit. And we kind of did this at school too, you know. You think back to our school days, and one of the most common questions I used to ask was, Miss, are we going to need to know this after school? Like,
Right.
seriously, we all knew that at some point we don't need trigonometry to be able to get a job. We just don't need to know the history of China. You know, we just don't need it. Because that's not where we were going. So all the kids that are coming in now, they're all knowing exactly what they're coming into and their mission, and they're here to like raise the frequency even higher for those that they're around. They're going to continually just say no to everything that doesn't, you know, resonate with the 5 or 6 or 7D energies that are coming in. And really it's for the parents or the grandparents who are looking on and seeing these kids that are absolutely addicted to technology. I mean, we've come into the age of Aquarius, which is the age of technology. You can see they're just so addicted to it. And from an outside perspective, we're like, oh, you should be outside playing, you know, or go and see your friends or whatever. And it's like, no. They're doing what they're being prepared for the life that's coming.
Yeah.
Because the life that's coming is the life of teleportation.
That's right.
We're going to be flying spaceships. We're going to be like they're just wired differently, with an understanding of where we're going. Basically, they've got the templates of the 5D Earth, and they know where they're going. So they're doing whatever it is that they need to do, gaining whatever experience it is for where they're going, because they've got another 100 years.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've always known I was going to live till over I was 100. From a very young age, I was told that. So, you know, the med beds are going to come in. Everything's going to change. It's just going to be so rapid. But it's going to be so smooth because everyone's ready for it. We're ready for it. We're in the transition phase. Like everyone's like at the top of the roller coaster, like, come on, look, man, no hands. Let's do this.
Or it could be like that one meme where what is it, the adult and the kid's like screaming and the adult's laughing at the kid. I think it says like higher self and human.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but I like the analogy that you're giving because it was an uphill climb. Well, it had ups and downs, but there was a lot of emphasis on the uphill. So I can see on one hand, it's such a great metaphor. You're at the top of the last steep dive and you're relieved because, you know, because of that. But at the same time, you have no idea what it's going to feel like. You know, you might be blowing your groceries by the time you get to the bottom, but yeah, that's cool. So the name of the book is Accidental Truth, right?
A vortex through time. Yep.
Yeah, on Amazon, right? Two people here have read it and they said it's excellent. How long have you had it out?
Well, see, I wrote it back in 2017. Took me 8 months. I self-published and then I took off around the world for a couple of years. Came back and went, okay, I need to do something with this book. So, approached a publishing company, Sacred Stories Publishing, who did Miguel Dean's book as well.
Oh, that's Patricia. Right?
Yeah, you've spoken to Patricia. And they took it on, and then I worked with an editor for about a year, and we released it in June last year. Was
there a marked difference in the reception of it when you compared to when you self-published?
look, I reckon that people are probably more ready for it now.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I did feel that they were ready for it back then, but perhaps, I probably put too much fire energy in it. I am a Sagittarian with an Aries rising. I'm full fire.
When's your birthday?
16th December.
16th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the 9th.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very impulsive. We just want to burn, baby, burn.
That's right.
Get this party started. But
right. I know.
Definitely ready for it now. Anyone who has any family or friends that are kind of awakening, but gee, spirituality and ascension and all the levels and the myriad of things that can happen to you. Basically, I just go through the process of it on a very general level, on a story-based level, so you can, it's not an encyclopedia. You don't have to remember everything because you're going through it with the characters. So it's very easy to relate. It's very relatable.
Yeah, that's a good way to because it's encoded. I mean, that's a good way.
It's encoded with Archangel Gabriel channeled it to me. I did the Magenta Pixie Magic Scribe meditation before it. Was imbued with the Magic Scribe, and it's written for the common man. It's written for, and many people have said it's the Celestine prophecy of this time, which I'm absolutely humbled, and I'm just the vessel that brought it through. Because it's already been written. Everything's already been written. Everything's already been done. Nothing to do but play it out. Do it as you're guided. Follow your signs. Follow the synchronicities. And have no fear. There is no fear. Do what you want.
That's right. What you want. What do you got to lose? You're an eternal soul. What are they going to do?
When I get off here, I'm going to go to the beach. Like I'm just doing what I want.
So, Accidental Truth, The Vortex Through Time. It's on Amazon. I put that on all the platforms.
Yeah, Nikool, McIndoe.com.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask next.
Yeah, I have a blog. Sometimes I write, sometimes I don't. I'm pretty active on Facebook. Do a lot of poetry and channelings there.
Now, do you do anything else or have any other offerings?
I'm working with Devin Byrne at the moment. He runs a course in miracles on his openandclear.com channel. He has a heap of courses and modalities. Udemy. Working with him, we're writing children's books together and doing some courses. So
to kind of get an idea of what you're up to, Facebook and then your website. I put that up on the.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So those are the two. That would be to go find out what you're up to and your collaborations and your own creations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. I don't know how I made it through this day. It's been quite challenging, but I'm really happy that we finally got to collaborate and that I get to ease out of it through this last hour with you because you made it very easy. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything that you've done. It takes a lot of guts to do what you've done.
Thank you for your service, brother.
Yeah, and I look forward to doing it again sometime later in the year.
Yeah, cool.
See what's happening. All right.
Awesome.
Well, you take care. Love
Thanks,
you.
buddy.
All blessings to you and your